Year 1, $500. You open a separate account on a Tuesday night for no reason anyone would notice. No announcement, no post. You transfer $500 from checking and rename the account Don't Touch. That's it. That's the whole ceremony. Nobody claps because nobody knows. Your roommate walks past while you're doing it and asks what you're watching. You say nothing, close the laptop, and go back to your regular life like you didn't just make a decision that will take a decade to matter. You don't feel different. That's the part nobody prepares you for. You expect the decision to feel like a decision, a line in the sand, a before and after. Instead, it feels like nothing. You still eat the same lunch. You still complain about the same job. The $500 sits there, quiet, doing nothing you can see. You check it twice in the first week out of habit, the way you'd check a wound to see if it's healing. It isn't healing, it's just sitting. Compounding is invisible at $500. It looks exactly like doing nothing. Your friends spend the weekend on a trip you skip. You tell them you're busy, you're not busy. You're just protecting $200 you don't want to explain. Explaining feels worse than lying, so you lie. Nobody asked twice. That's the first cost of the decision. Not money, silence. You start editing what you say out loud. The first rule? At $500, the decision is invisible because there's nothing yet to see. You're the only witness to your own beginning. Year 2, $4,000. The account grows the boring way. A little every 2 weeks, automatic, unglamorous. You don't check it daily anymore. That itself is a shift nobody notices, including you, until months later when you realize you stopped needing to. Your car needs a $600 repair. Old you would have put it on a card and felt the familiar tightening in your chest for 3 months after. New you pays cash and feels nothing. No relief, no panic. Just a number going down and then quietly climbing back. That flatness is the point. Nobody sees flatness as progress. Your coworker buys a new phone the day it releases. You still have the cracked one from 2 years ago. She asks if you're okay for money. You say you're fine. You are fine. You're just not spending like someone who wants to look fine. That gap between looking fine and being fine is where the whole decision lives, and it's completely invisible from the outside. People read your cracked phone as struggle. It's actually the opposite. Nobody has the vocabulary to read restraint as wealth in progress. They only recognize spending. You skip a wedding 2 states away, not because you don't care about the couple, because the flight and hotel would erase 4 months of progress for a weekend you'd forget. You send a gift instead. Someone mentions you should have gone. You let them think what they want. The account doesn't explain itself, and neither do you. The second rule, at $4,000, you start paying in silence what other people pay in cash. Nobody bills you for it, but it's the most expensive part of the whole decision. Year 3, $12,000. Something shifts, but only in your head. The number is still small compared to what people mean when they say wealthy, but it's large enough now to survive a bad month without becoming a crisis. That single fact changes how you sleep. Not dramatically. You don't notice a single night where it happens. You just realize one morning you didn't lie awake doing math, and you can't remember the last time that was true. You get invited to invest in a friend's business idea. Small amount, low pressure, the kind of ask that used to make your stomach drop because saying no felt like admitting you didn't have it. Now you say no easily because you understand something you didn't at $500. The goal isn't to prove you have money, it's to keep the money doing what it's already doing. Nobody in the group chat notices the no. They move on in 4 minutes. You notice. You notice that saying no to the wrong thing at this level costs you nothing socially and protects you financially. That trade never used to exist for you. You still drive the same car. You still live with the same roommate. Anyone looking at your life from outside would rank you exactly where they ranked you 3 years ago. They're not wrong about what they see, they're wrong about what it means. The third rule, at $12,000, the decision starts working, but it works in a currency, peace, that doesn't show up on anyone else's radar. Year 4. $28,000. You get a raise at work. Old, you would have upgraded something like the car, the apartment, the wardrobe. New you increases the transfer by exactly the amount of the raise and never sees the extra money in your regular life at all. Your lifestyle stays frozen while your options quietly expand behind it. This is the year the gap starts to feel strange even to you. You make more than you used to. You live exactly the same. The two facts sit next to each other without touching. Your sister asks if you're saving up for something specific. A house, a wedding, a car? You say kind of. You don't have a real answer, and that unnerves her more than a number would have. People trust a goal. They don't trust an open-ended decision. An open goal sounds undisciplined to people who've never tried holding one for 4 years straight. You watch friends buy houses with payments that would swallow half of what you make. You don't say anything. You've learned that the decision only survives if you stop needing anyone to validate it. The moment you need someone to say good job, you start making choices designed to be seen instead of choices designed to work. The fourth rule, at $28,000, invisibility stops being uncomfortable and starts being useful. Nobody watching you closely means nobody talking you out of it. Year 5. $55,000. Somewhere in this year, without a specific day you could point to, the account stops feeling like a project and starts feeling like a second income you never spent. It grows on months you don't think about it at all. That's the strange part people never believe when you try to explain it later. The biggest jumps happen during the most boring stretches, not the disciplined ones. Discipline built the structure. Boredom is what let it run. A friend from year 1, the trip you skipped, posts a photo from a different vacation, a nicer one this time. You feel a flicker, not envy exactly, something closer to distance. You're not richer than them in any way you'd say out loud. But you notice you no longer measure your life against theirs the way you used to. The comparison used to sting. Now it just registers and passes like weather on a day you're staying inside anyway. You still tell people you're doing okay when they ask how things are going. It's technically true and completely misleading, and you've made peace with that gap. The fifth rule, at $55,000, you stop needing the truth to be visible. You just need it to be true. Year 6. $95,000. You almost tell someone this year. A close friend, over dinner, the number sits right at the edge of your mouth. You don't say it. Not out of shame or out of instinct. You've learned that once a number leaves your mouth, it stops being yours and starts being a conversation everyone else gets to have opinions about. So you keep eating and change the subject, and the moment passes and the account keeps growing in a silence that's starting to feel less like restraint and more like identity. You buy a slightly better couch. Just a couch, it feels enormous. Not because of the price, because it's the first purely comfort-driven purchase you've made in 6 years that wasn't followed by guilt. That's a milestone nobody would recognize if you tried to explain it. A couch. That's the headline of year 6, and it's completely accurate. The sixth rule, at $95,000, the decision has been running longer than most relationships, most jobs, most versions of yourself. It's the most consistent thing in your life, and it's also the thing nobody's asked you about once. Year 7, $170,000. The number crosses a line where, if you said it out loud, people's faces would change. You know this because it's happened once by accident, when a banker mentioned it in front of someone you didn't expect to be in the room. The look on their face wasn't excitement. It was recalibration. They were rebuilding you in their head in real time, replacing the version of you they'd been carrying around with a new one that didn't match your car or your apartment or the way you dress. You watched them do it and said nothing, because there was nothing useful to say. That's the year you realized the decision was never about the number. It was about becoming someone who wouldn't be changed by people's faces doing that. You already knew who you were before they recalculated it. Their surprise was information about their assumptions, not about you. The seventh rule, the bigger the number gets, the smaller the group of people who know it. That's not accidental. That's the whole design working exactly as intended. Year 8, $310,000. You still work the same job. You still live modestly enough that nobody would guess. But something in you has quietly stopped being afraid. Not of money, of decisions. You take a slightly bigger risk on a career move because the account behind you means a bad 6 months wouldn't break you. Nobody sees the account when you make that move. They just see someone who suddenly seems less anxious in meetings and they read it as confidence when really it's just math, working in the background, holding you up like scaffolding nobody can see from the street. The eighth rule: money you don't spend eventually spends itself on your behalf in the form of courage you didn't have to fake. Year 9, $640,000. This is the year the compounding stops being a rumor and starts being visible even to you, someone who's watched it happen the whole time. The account grows more in 8 months than it did in the first 4 years combined, and none of that growth came from a decision you made this year. It came from every decision in every year before it, arriving all at once quietly the way debts of patience get paid. You still haven't told anyone the real number. Not your parents, not your closest friend, not the person you're dating. It's not secrecy anymore, it's just that the number stopped needing an audience a long time ago, and you're not sure how to explain that without it sounding like a boast, so you don't try. The ninth rule: the years where nothing seems to be happening are the years doing the most work. You just can't see labor that isn't loud. Year 10, $1,050,000. You cross it on an ordinary Thursday, refreshing an app between meetings, and there's no music, no confetti, no one in the room. You stare at the number for maybe 4 seconds and then close the app because you have a call in 2 minutes. That's the entire ceremony. 10 years of decisions, and the moment it becomes real looks exactly like every other moment that came before it. Quiet, unremarkable, entirely yours. You don't post it. You don't tell your family, you go to the call. Afterward, walking to get coffee, you pass the version of the city you used to live in. The smaller apartment, the roommate, the cracked phone, and you feel something that isn't pride exactly, it's closer to recognition. You did this the way you did everything else in this story, without anyone watching.